Good morning. Welcome to the October 19th, 2022 meeting of the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. It is 9:30. Since we are holding this meeting in person and over teleconference, I'll start with a roll call of my colleagues on the dais. Commissioner Janeka.
Present.
Thank you. We are also joined by our General Counsel, Mary Smith, and our Public Interest Counsel, Garrett Arthur. Since we're holding this meeting partly over a webinar, I'd like to remind folks to keep their phones on mute when they are not speaking so that everyone can hear the meeting. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Commissioner Emily Lindley. Sorry. For each item that argument or discussion is allowed, we will inform parties and the public of time limits for their discussion. Registration closed at 9:30, but if you would like to address the commission on a particular item, please email agenda@tceq.texas, spelled out, .gov with your name, affiliation, and the item that you would like to comment on, and we will do our best to accommodate the request. For those making presentations, please wait to begin your presentation until I've asked you to begin speaking, and please check to make sure that your light is unmuted before proceeding. And before we get to item number one, we have a very special item, a very special thing we wanted to do, and that is recognize Miss Margaret Wilson, who is here today in person. Come on up, Margaret. Let's really embarrass you. So we're recognizing Margaret for her 48 years and 2 months of state service. And we have one or two things we're going to present to her. I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to say a few words. This is a proclamation from the governor. It says, "Greetings to Margaret Wilson. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement after 48 years of service to the people of Texas. Public service is an honor, for its foundation is in the public trust. Daily state employees earn this trust, demonstrating dependability, initiative, and wise stewardship of public resources. Their endless dedication highlights that this state's greatest asset lies with the people who call it home. First Lady Cecilia Abbott joins me in sending best wishes for an enjoyable and fulfilling retirement." Signed by the governor. So we have that for you. We also, of course, have a flag that was flown, and I'm going to give you all these in just a second. And of course, we have the certificate that goes with the flag so that you know when it happened, which was on the 4th of October. And I will just say, I got to know you when you made your switch and came over to serve in the executive director / commissioner's office when I was in the ED's office. But for those of y'all that don't know Margaret, she started, I have a little bit of info on you, in 1973, which I believe is when you just started walking and talking, right? At the Texas Water Development Board. She went on to work at a number of different agencies, the Water Quality Board, a number of agencies that no longer exist. But at TCEQ, you've worked in a number of places as well, in our General Law Division, our Financial Administration Division, back in our General Law Division, and then, where you are presently. So gonna miss seeing you, gonna miss a lot of fun things about you. We've had some fun chats over the years. Margaret's a great mom. She's also a great grandma. And the most exciting part I'd have to say about her retirement is that a day later, 2 days, her granddaughter from Australia is coming over for a month. So she's starting it with a bang. I'm also sincerely going to miss your baking. Who isn't? Margaret has a special talent, a very special talent when it comes to baking. But you have a lot of talents as well. So if you want to say something, please go ahead. And if not, we'll give you these things.
I most certainly do. I appreciate that. First of all, I just have to put on these sunglasses for two reasons. One, because your heart and mind may be in a different part of the world right now, where it's getting sunnier and sunnier, not colder and colder. That's also where my 6-year-old would like to be. So he may need to come visit with you before you're gone. But also to hide the tears in my eyes. It was such a great treasure to have you there in our front office, coming and going, having that wealth of experience and history. And you were easy and quick to share it, and I appreciate that. It was a really good resource to get to know and get to work with in the brief time. But good luck, and I think this is a activity we're doing more and more right now in this time and season. And so for all the other staff and your colleagues who are joining you in this chapter of your life, I think we really do appreciate, and I'll shed a tear and a smile for all of you. Yeah. Thank you.
48 years is remarkable, truly. So congratulations, Margaret. Here's all your goodies.
I'll bring some Lemingtons tomorrow.
Don't tease.
Remington.
Tomorrow.
No, next week.
Okay, yes, let's see. I don't know if I can be. Thanks. Yeah, I know.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Really enjoyed working at the station.
Oh. Oh, I'm going to repeat what she just said. She really enjoys working here and would recommend it to everybody. Want that on the record.
I'll also just observe that all of the plants within reach of the executive and commissioners cluster will start dying quickly. So if anybody with a green thumb wouldn't mind passing through
Truly,
there, we
truly.
need that.
She-
Margaret has served a lot of vital roles.
Yes, I have the most gorgeous, I don't even know what it is, tree in my office that Margaret has kept alive for at least 5 years now. It's remarkable. Okay, well, with that, Ms. Smith, if you'll please call the first item.
Item number 1 is the consideration of whether to affirm, modify, or set aside the Executive Director's September 1st, 2022 emergency order appointing a temporary manager of a water utility formerly owned by Alan Watts. The Executive Director is the moving party and should speak first, followed by the respondents, any other interested persons, and OPIC in that order. OGC recommends the usual 5-minute time period for each party. The ED may save some time for rebuttal as he bears the burden of proof on this matter.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. My name is Benjamin Warms, and I'm an attorney with the Litigation Division representing the Executive Director. With me today is Dorothy Young with the Water Supply Division, and online we're joined by Joy Thurston Cook of the San Antonio Regional Office. Item number 1 is the emergency order appointing a temporary manager of the Lago Vista utility owned by the estate of Alan Watts. The utility serves approximately 18 service connections. This utility was owned by Mr. Watts from 1997 until his death in October of 2021. At the time of Mr. Watts' death, the utility was being operated by Paul and Linda Royal, who had assumed operation of the utility when Mr. Watts became too ill to operate himself. The Royals continued operation of the utility after Mr. Watts died. Mr. Watts died intestate, without transferring ownership of this utility, and his estate has not been probated. The named respondents in this emergency order are the known heirs to the estate of Alan Watts under Texas intestate succession. On June 13th, 2022, an attorney for the Royals sent a letter to staff of the TCEQ, the Public Utility Commission, and the Office of the Attorney General, stating that the Royals would cease operating the utility effective on June 20th, 2022. The Royals did continue to operate after that date, but on August 1st of 2022, Paul and Linda Royal sent a letter to staff of the TCEQ, Public Utility Commission, and Office of the Attorney General, stating that they would stop operating the utility starting on September 1st of 2022. Given this second notice from the Royals, the utility was determined to be abandoned, creating a substantial risk of imminent water outages and posing health hazards to the customers served by the utility. Because of this, the Executive Director issued an emergency order appointing Bill Shuley as the temporary manager for an initial term of 180 days. Mr. Shuley is the wastewater manager for the City of Luling and a licensed water operator. He is managing the utility on behalf of the City of Luling. During this first temporary management term, the City of Luling is working with staff of the TCEQ to explore options to provide a long-term solution to the customers of this utility. The Executive Director respectfully requests that you affirm the September 1st, 2022 emergency order with the modifications recommended by the Executive Director to correct various typographical errors. We are available to answer any questions you may have.
I have no questions. Any questions?
Do we have next steps and plans for, are we waiting for one particular point in time, or what's the plan for the path forward?
The plan for the path forward at this time is that ideally the City of Luling would like to be able to serve the customers of this utility directly, that is, extend their water and wastewater service. However, they have to work through the technicalities and funding of doing that. So during this temporary management period, the City of Luling is working on doing that. If more time is needed, we may consider a longer-term option such as a receivership. But at the moment, the city of Luling is working to provide water to these customers.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
I don't believe a temporary manager, Mr. Shuley, is on the line.
That's correct, and we
Okay.
don't have anyone signed in to representing the water utility that was formerly owned by Mr. Watts.
Okay, OPIC?
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and the Executive Directors, attorneys, and staff. I'm Sheldon Wayne for the Office of Public Interest Counsel. OPIC has reviewed this item, including all pertinent agenda backup material, and agrees with the Commission that the requirements for an emergency order contained in Chapters 5 and 13 of the Texas Water Code have been met, and that it was appropriate for the Executive Director to issue this order. Therefore, OPIC supports affirming the September 1st, 2022 emergency order with the modifications proposed by the Executive Director to address minor typographical errors contained within the original order. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Thanks. I don't have any questions. I will just say, I think this is the best solution at this time. So,
I appreciate the action from Executive Director staff to ensure that this community continues to have service. And with that said, I'll move that we adopt the Executive Director's proposed order affirming with modifications the September 1, 2022 emergency order issued by the Executive Director.
a second. Motion has been made. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those, well, doesn't matter, opposed. Don't talk. Ms. Smith, if you'll call item number 2.
Item number 2 is the consideration of the adoption of revisions to the Texas Emission Reduction Plan Guidelines for Emissions Reduction Incentive Grants, and the Executive Director's staff is here to present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I am Kelsey Schroyer with the Air Grants Division, and with me is Contessa Gay with the Environmental Law Division. Revisions to the Diesel Emissions Reduction Incentive Guidelines incorporate changes made to the DERI in 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 114, Control of Air Pollution from Motor Vehicles, Subchapter K, Division 3. The rules were amended to implement portions of House Bill 4472 of the 87th Texas Legislature's 2021 regular session. The changes provide that the Commission set the minimum percentage of annual usage required for Texas Emissions Reduction Plan funded marine vessels or engines at 55% in the intercoastal waterways or bays adjacent to the non-attainment areas or affected counties of this state. The Commission ordered a public hearing on August 18th and a 30-day public comment period that closed on August 22nd, 2022. No public comments were received. Staff respectfully requests permission to make non-substantive revisions to comply with Texas Register requirements. Thank you, and we are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Ms. Smith, has anyone signed in on this item?
No one is signed in.
OPIC, thoughts?
Good morning, Commissioners. OPIC understands these revisions to the guidelines for diesel emissions reduction incentive grants are needed to implement HB 4472 and align with existing statute and agency rule. We support adoption of the revisions.
Thanks, as do I.
I always appreciate all the work that our TERP staff do to balance and address this and the other programs to try to connect and communicate to the public. And I've seen many of those communications from the program for many opportunities. So always a good reminder to everybody. Look at all the vehicles around you under your control and see if we can improve them with some of the good dollars we tagged for it. I move that we adopt the revisions to the Texas Emission Reductions Plan guidelines regarding the emissions reduction incentive grants as recommended by the Executive Director.
I second. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ms. Smith, if you'll call the next item.
Item number 3 is the consideration for adoption of the amendment and reissuance of the underground injection control Class 1 general permit number WDWG 010000. The Executive Director's staff is here to present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I am Tamara Young with the Radioactive Materials Division. With me is Don Redman and with the Environmental Law Division, and Brian Smith with the Radioactive Materials Division. We request your approval of the renewal, amendment, and reissuance of the Underground Injection Control Class 1 General Permit number WDWG 010000, which authorizes the disposal of non-hazardous brine from a desalination operation or non-hazardous drinking water treatment residuals into a Class 1 injection well. The amendment and renewal of the general permit makes the permit consistent with current laws applicable to injection wells and will continue the permit for another 10 years. Notice of the proposed renewal and amendment of the general permit was published in the May 27, 2022 issue of the Texas Register and in 8 Texas newspapers. A public hearing was not held. The public comment period closed on June 27, 2022. No comments were received on the general permit during the public comment period. In conclusion, staff respectfully recommends your approval of the renewal amendment and reissuance of the Underground Injection Control Class 1 General Permit number WDWG 010000. Additionally, staff requests authorization to make non-substantive revisions necessary to comply with the Texas Register requirements. Thank you for your consideration. We are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Do you have any?
I don't. The wheels of government are inevitable and maybe slow at times, but they get there, and this is a rulemaking that will put the punctuation mark on changes that were underway and a live discussion from the legislature at the time that I was there working in the division with y'all. So I appreciate seeing this.
Thank you. Ms. Smith, has anyone signed in on this item?
No one is signed in.
OPIC, thoughts?
Thank you, Commissioner. OPIC understands the UIC Class 1 general permit will expire in November, and this action is intended to amend and renew the general permit for 10 years, as allowed by 30 TAC Section 331.204. We support amendment and reissuance of the general permit.
Thank you. So do I.
I move that we adopt the renewal with amendments of the Underground Injection Control Class 1 General Permit Number WDWG 010000.
I second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Smith, if you'll call the next item.
That takes us to the enforcement docket, which is items 4 through 10 and 12 through 17. Item 11 was remanded on October 17th on motion of the ED. The Executive Director's staff is here to present these matters.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. For the record, my name is Melissa Cordell of the Enforcement Division, and with me today are Michael Parrish of the Enforcement Division and Gitanjali Yadav of the Litigation Division representing the Executive Director. Pending before you are items 4 through 10 and 12 through 17. The total assessed administrative penalties are $310,262, with $141,487 deferred, $52,185 applied towards supplemental environmental projects, and $116,590 to the general revenue. We respectfully request approval of these items and are available to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions, Commissioner. I guess we'll take OPIC's comments first.
OPIC supports adoption of these enforcement orders as presented by ED staff.
Thanks. Ms. Smith, do we have anyone signed in on these items?
On item number 5, we had an individual who signed in and available to answer questions, but otherwise no one has asked to address the commission.
Great, thank you. I don't have any concerns. Would be ready to move forward with the motion.
They look appropriate for adoption. I therefore move that we adopt items 4 through 10 and items 12 through 17 as recommended today by the Executive Director.
I second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ms. Smith, you will call the next item.
Item number 18 is the consideration of the monthly enforcement report, and the executive director's staff is here to present.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. My name is Melissa Cordell of the Enforcement Division, and with me are Michael Parrish of the Enforcement Division and Gitanjali Yadav of the Litigation Division. We are here to present the monthly enforcement report for fiscal year 2022 through August. There are 1,038 effective administrative orders issued, and of those, 139 contain supplemental environmental projects. These orders assessed a total of $12,952,805 in penalties, with a payable amount of $7,987,316. $2,832,140 are to be paid for supplemental environmental projects. 15,946 notices of violation have been issued through either our field offices or a review of self-reported data in our central office, and 2,052 enforcement action referrals have been received. There are 1,962 pending administrative orders. There are 608 cases that are on the backlog, in which we intend to come and share with you our plans on how to reduce the backlog. 196 cases are pending at the Attorney General's office for representation in district court, and 24 judgments have been issued. 1,986 cases are being tracked for compliance. We have included for review a summary of OCE investigative activities for fiscal years 2020, 2021, and 2022. We are available to answer any questions you may have.
I don't have any questions. I appreciate that discussion we'll have in the future about the backlog, so thank you.
Likewise, well said.
Ms. Smith, has anyone signed in on this item?
No one is signed in.
OPIC, thoughts?
Commissioners, OPIC appreciates the report and has no comments at this time.
Well, thank you all. No action necessary, so we'll move on to the next item. Ms. Smith, if you'll call item 19.
Item 19 is the consideration for publication of and hearing on proposed amendments to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 292, regarding special requirements for certain districts and authorities, and 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 293, regarding water districts. The Executive Director's staff is here to present this matter.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I'm Justin Tack with the District Section of the Water Supply Division. With me is Kayla Murley with the Environmental Law Division. The proposed rulemaking would remove 30 Texas Administrative Code 292.1A5 and 292.135 regarding special requirements for certain districts and authorities. Revised 30 TAC 292.13.6 regarding management policies for river authorities, and revised 293.59K relating to economic feasibility of projects. The rulemaking will provide consistency with the repeal of Texas Water Code Chapter 9 and abolishment of the Central Colorado River Authority from Senate Bill 3, 80th session, and Senate Bill 2262 from the 85th session. And also staff-initiated river authority and feasibility tax rate revisions. A public hearing will be offered on this proposal in Austin on December 7th, 2022. Staff respectfully recommends approval to propose the publication of and hearing on Chapter 292 special requirements for certain districts and authorities and Chapter 293 water districts. Staff also respectfully requests permission to make non-substantive revisions to comply with Texas Register requirements. Thank you. We are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. You?
Likewise, thank you.
Great, thanks. Ms. Smith, has anyone signed in on this item?
We have an individual who's signed in but indicated they didn't wish to address the commission, and their presence will be noted for the record.
Okay, thank you. OPIC?
Hi, good morning again, Commissioners and General Counsel, Executive Directors, Attorneys, and staff. For the record, I'm Sheldon Wayne with the Office of Public Interest Counsel. OPIC has reviewed this proposed rulemaking and agrees with the Executive Director that it should proceed forward for publication and the taking of public comment. OPIC understands that this rulemaking is necessary to implement statute and to give districts located within Chambers County greater flexibility to issue debt and remain in compliance with the tax rate limit. OPIC will attend the December 7th public hearing for this rule proposal and monitor any future comments or meetings that take place as the process unfolds. At this time, OPIC supports publication. Thank you, and I'm available for any questions.
Great, thank you. I don't have any questions. It seems necessary that we move forward with publication.
I agree. I look forward to hearing from the public on this. I'm looking forward to the discussion and changes in our rules. I would move that we approve the publication of and hearing on proposed revisions of 30 Texas Administrative Code Chapters 292 and 293 as recommended by the Executive Director.
I second. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Ms. Smith, you'll please call the next item.
Item number 20 is the consideration for publication of and hearing on proposed revisions to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 7, which is the chapter with Memoranda of Understanding. The Executive Director's staff is here to present this item.
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Public Interest Counsel. On behalf of the Executive Director, I'm Kathy Humphreys with the Environmental Law Division. The proposed rulemaking is in response to a quadrennial review where the Commission determined that 30 Texas Administrative Code, Section 7.101, the MOU with the Texas Department of Commerce, is obsolete. Section D of the rule provides that the memorandum shall terminate on August 31st, 1999, unless extended by mutual agreement. The TNRCC and the Texas Department of Commerce did not extend the term of the MOU. The Executive Director respectfully requests permission to initiate rulemaking to repeal the obsolete rule. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Likewise.
Ms. Smith, has anyone signed in on this item?
Unsurprisingly, no.
Okay. OPIC?
Good morning, Commissioners, General Counsel, and Executive Directors, attorneys, and staff. I'm Jennifer Jamison on behalf of OPIC for the record. Our office has reviewed this rulemaking, and OPIC agrees that repeal of 30 TAC Section 7.101, the Memorandum of Understanding between the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission and the Texas Department of Commerce is appropriate given that the rule was determined to be obsolete. Accordingly, OPIC supports publication of this rulemaking as proposed by the Executive Director. Thank you, and I'm available for questions.
Thanks. I don't have any questions. And
Likewise.
I would support a motion to approve the publication if you have one.
Very good. Yes, slowly but surely, the wheels of government have targeted this slightly outdated part of our rule. So thank you so much. I move that we approve the publication of and hearing on proposed revisions to 30 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 7, Memorandum of Understanding, as recommended by the Executive Director.
A second. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Ms. Smith, do you call the next item, or should I call it?
I will call it.
Okay.
The commission will meet in closed session in Building E, Room 211S at, would you like to say in 5 minutes or immediately?
I'm fine immediately if that's
Immediately?
immediately.
5 minutes?
Oh.
Okay.
fine, too.
Let's go with, at approximately 10:05, as permitted by the Open Meetings Act, including Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071 and 551.074, to take up and consider matters pursuant to items number 21 through 24 as posted and noticed.
Thank you. This meeting stands in recess.
Good, how are you?
The commission met in Building E, Room 211S, and virtually for closed session from 10:08 a.m. until 11:02 a.m. on item numbers 21 and 23, as posted in notice pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074. No action was taken. This agenda stands adjourned. The time is 11:05.